welcome in to Dynasty and Beers. This is episode 4. New thumbnail. I think we might have to workshop that one.
I should get a beer.
That's right. You gotta pull that out.
Yeah, get a beer, Joshy.
I'm gonna run and get a beer.
Yeah, go ahead.
New thumbnail. If you got any thoughts, let us know.
I gotta check out the thumbnail because you haven't even showed it to me yet.
I'm not too happy with it. I was trying to get it a front shot, and it was one from the back. It's got it displayed on the title on the TV. It's kind of cool. It's not what I envisioned. I don't like it as much as our Dynasty and Goats one.
Oh, dude, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was hoping it would be like the same kind of thing, but like a shot from the front that maybe the TV's in the background.
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know. There's a lot going on in that one.
That wouldn't make much sense because then they wouldn't be able to see the TV.
It doesn't need to make sense, It's just
Dynasty and Beers.
they have one in front of them. They got one behind
gosh.
them. They got these guys are loaded. They got TVs on every wall.
Cheers, my friend. Thank you for joining
Cheers.
us.
Coke Zero, baby.
We got.
Thanks for having me. I'm getting a little comfortable here.
I know, right?
It's a
Third
nice
time
spot.
appearance.
Right.
First third time appearance.
Yeah, I want to give you a shout out, for making this happen. Not just with me, but like all the people you've been bringing on. Like I haven't been able to watch them all live, but I try and, I get up early and I do a few things. I drink my coffee and I do a few things, and I can watch 40 minutes in front of the computer in the morning or something, and I turn it on and I'm like, dude, everyone you bring on is awesome, and I'm like, you're building this community, and it's like, and we play with some of these guys now. I mean, it's just great. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been.
I love it, man. That's like exactly like how we're feeling, and like that's so cool to hear that that you're enjoying it. That it sounds like other people are as well, and that's what we're hoping to do. Like, it's just kind of cool to bring everybody together and get to know each other in ways that we normally wouldn't, just like DMing and sending gifts on Sleeper and whatever. So it's been amazing. And thank you so much for joining us. Glad to have you back on for a third time. And
Woo!
Yeah. So we don't it's Dynasty and Beers, so we kind of go in with no game plan here. But we were definitely talking about some things like before the live stream. We did have a pretty big blockbuster trade in the break room. Do we want to start?
Anyone that's not in the break room, this is kind of a league we a lot of people here have been watching, and we been involved, so we will take a look at that.
That's different from the blockbuster one you went over 2 nights ago, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There
was a blockbuster one 2 nights ago, right?
Oh, dude.
Oh yeah.
There's been trades going down left and right. Did you see these, Joshy, or no? The trade?
I saw it. It was the Chase stack and for Lamar.
Yeah. So if you're not in the league, hang in there.
Now Lamar and Coda gave
up.
them Lamar, right? That I if I remember, that was Coda drafted Lamar and
Coda
traded him.
Lamar. He traded him to Colossal. Then Colossal traded him to Sebastian. I don't know. There have been so many trades. Like, it's hard to keep track.
It's like I had the gift. I don't know if you've seen it yet, Dan. I'll pull it up here. Of like how I reacted.
It's been a lot, not even or whatever.
Oh, I cut out.
Yeah. Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Am I back?
Yeah. Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Can you? I'll screen share here real quick. Sorry, technical difficulties here. Just working on setting this up, and there we go. Okay, so basically, for anyone that's not in the league, we had another blockbuster trade go down. This league's been just absurd with the trades.
And Lamar's now on the block too.
So Lamar was
That didn't take long.
So basically, what happened is
Sebastian's wheeling and dealing. So he's a new Dynasty player, trading fearlessly for better or for worse. But I actually like this deal for his team, and I think you did as well, Blake.
Yeah. So basically, we have this. Any contest for anyone that's not in the league. The startup happened. Seb's been dealing all over the place. Another owner that's not involved in this one, Coda, had Lamar. He sent Lamar to Colossal. Colossal traded Chase to and got back Bijan in a big deal like last week. And then now all of a sudden he sends back Bijan to Seb, who had originally sent him, and then he gets back Chase. Basically, to sum it up, like if you watch The Office, it just reminded me of like the Michael Scott talking about the vasectomy. He's like, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. You keep changing your mind. It's just Bijan and Jamar Chase keep getting tossed around here. This is a fun deal.
Yeah, I mean, basically, this trade is like almost a reversal, isn't it? I mean, like, is the only difference like Zay Flowers, but like, I mean, basically they had recently done a trade where I'm pretty sure, like, Burrow, Chase, and Lamar and Bijan were all involved. If I'm not mistaken.
Lamar and Burrow were never involved in that original trade.
They weren't?
Seb's always had Burrow. So basically what it was is it was just a variant, like, reversal where they swapped quarterbacks and Zay Flowers.
Oh, that's right. And then Colossal got, like, his 26th first back. And then basically – oh, yeah, I remember now. So Sebastian basically traded what effectively amounted to – Bijan and future first for Jamar Chase to get the stack because he already had Burrow. So I mean, a lot of these players though have gotten traded multiple times. So it's gotten confusing. It's hard to keep track of them all. But this was definitely a juicy one.
Yeah, and basically, what this trade is there's a Burrow for Lamar swap. There's a Chase for Bijan swap. A Najee and 211 for Zay Flowers and a third swap. So Titan gets the Burrow Chase stack, Najee Harris in the 211, and then in return it's Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, Zay Flowers, and a third. So 4 for 4. I mean, this is a pretty fair deal. I think if you're just looking at straight up value, you'll say that the side that Seb got back is better. I can agree with that. But the one thing is, there's like one stack that like can actually last and be basically the best stack in all of Dynasty forever, and it is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And you can say what you want. Hey, you got Zay Flowers back in the deal. Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson. That's not a stack I want to get. That
interesting.
No one cares about that stack.
Yeah.
What is he getting? 6 points while Lamar scores 40. I mean, that's not a stack. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow combined for like 80 to 100 points. It seems like every other week. So, I mean. I like that side better than Lamar and Bijan by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
you think it was fair then?
So I think it ended up being a fair deal because he got a decent deal on Zay Flowers because he got the third back.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you can't compare Burrow and Chase to Lamar and Flowers. I mean, that's not why.
No, Lamar and Bijan.
Deal. I mean,
no, nothing to do with Flowers. It was Lamar and Bijan. I would rather have Joe
let's talk about the stack. No one really cares about the Lamar Flowers stack, but
no, I'm not talking about Flowers at all. I'm talking about Lamar and Bijan, the 2 for 2.
Oh, okay.
Zay Flowers is like the throw-in. Like,
those are even. Zay Flowers is more valuable than Najee.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
So
I mean,
that's really what it is. I mean, Lamar's the 103 and Bijan's the 112. And Burrow's the 105 and Chase is the 106 or 4 or whatever. Yeah. It's basically even. Yeah, I mean, the way I'm kind of looking at it is that it's kind of like Chase for Bijan and Flowers maybe. And then, Lamar and Burrow are pretty much about even. And then what do you have left? Like Najee in a second versus like a third. Okay, but obviously, like, I think you'd take Bijan and Flowers, like, slightly over Chase. I mean, you could argue that either way. So there are a number of different ways you can look at it. But I think it's good for Sebastian's team because he basically turns 2 good players into 3. Najee could be good. I drafted him. Of course, when I drafted him, I thought that, like, it was a legitimate contract he signed, and it turns out, like, half of it was incentives. So that kind of change the equation a little bit, but I still think there's a scenario where Najee's really good this year. Even if they draft someone, Najee could still be the running back you want to own for the Chargers at least this season. So I'm not like entirely out on Najee, but obviously there's some risk there with the NFL draft. He feels more like a thrown in this deal, but Sebastian needed some depth, so he gives 2 good players or 2 great players. He gets back 2 great players and a really good player in Flowers, so I like this for Sebastian. I also think it's a pretty fair deal all around.
Yeah, like I think that the value side will lean slightly to Seb because he got the good deal on Flowers, which was like Najee in the 211. But basically what I was saying before was between Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase versus Lamar and Bijan, that would be even 2v2. But the difference is that like because there's Joe Burrow and Chase together on one side, Like that
Right.
now adds some magical non-existent value of
Right.
like, why would I give those two guys up for running back and another, like whatever, Lamar? Like it's just, I want the correlated guys on the same week scoring 100 points for my team in 1 week. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have the Zay Flowers swap for Najee, because I would far rather have Zay in a third over Najee in a 211. So I think it was a really smart deal for both sides.
Yeah, I think it is really fair, and I understand. Yeah, maybe having a slight preference for like the Burrow and Chase side, but like you're probably thinking of that from the perspective of like your team. I mean, you're an experienced dynasty player, but like if you were in Sebastian's position, would you have accepted this trade knowing that like he's got a team that doesn't have a ton of depth? He's made some questionable trades, as he's learning dynasty. So in Sebastian's position, what are you doing with this deal? You hitting accept on it? You countering? What?
Like
you
the 4 for
you
4?
have?
Like this whole 4 for 4 deal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a great deal for him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this made his team better.
That.
Yeah. No. The
Okay,
Zay Flowers swap is
sure.
what made it a good deal. If it was a 2 for 2, though,
Yeah.
that made no sense, right? So that's what I love about the
It
deal.
made it a good deal in your
so much
mind for
sense.
value perspective, correct?
Yeah, for value
For
sector.
long-term value.
Yeah, long term potentially.
I'm higher on Najee. I mean, I know you expressed your concerns with him, Dan, but if you look at, they did pay him. I know there's incentives in there, but he got the most money this offseason. The reason why running backs were getting paid is because of this great class coming in. If you look at last year, running backs got paid, and now all of a sudden they're not. But he got the most.
Well,
that says something.
Yeah.
Also, you already talked about Mason. He got a second-round tender because they value him, and then he got traded for that evaluation because he's valued by other teams too. So a very smart team, I should say. But that's a tangent. But the point is that the running backs that are valued right now, that are paid, he's one of them. He's never missed a game, and so whatever happens this year, irrespective of the results, he's going to get another contract, whether it's with this team or another. And he might not end up being a 65%, but he's at least going to be a 50-50 back going forward. So his long-term value might not be. It actually might be, unless if Zay stays on the Ravens the rest of his career. I don't want to have one. I don't want one share of him. Not one.
Najee
maybe in best ball.
Najee
Flowers.
Flowers. Okay, I see what you mean.
Flowers, because he doesn't put up points half the weeks.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot of wide receivers. He does give you spike weeks. He does have hot stretches. I mean, like even his rookie season, like he got really hot like second half of the season. He did kind of at the very end get a little banged up, but like he's got it in him. I think he's a really good player, and I'm thinking like with Flowers, like I've always kind of been a fan of him. Like, I understand your point of just kind of like, okay, is he ever going to be a lead or whatever? I bet he has at least like one season as like a wide receiver, finishes as a top 12 wide receiver. I think he's going to surprise at some point, like in the next like year or two. I wouldn't be shocked if it was this year. I just think he's like too talented. He's the number one receiver on the team. It's probably just going to come together at some point. So I could still understand fading him if you just kind of think like he's never going to get into that like elite tier or whatever, but like you do need some like Zay Flowers on your team. I mean, like you can't, I mean sometimes like we're fortunate enough that we're able to build a ridiculous dynasty team that has like Chase, Jefferson, BTJ, like I'm thinking of Blake's team and Grease Bowl, but like not every dynasty team's gonna like that. You're gonna need some Zay Flowers too.
Sure. My thought about Flowers is he's in the replaceable production tier. And you could say that Najee is as well, but it's harder to have a top 24 running back than it is to have a top 36 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And and so it value wise, like Blake was saying, Flowers is going to be a valid higher for probably for obviously forever, but if Najee is in the league for another 5 years, and he's putting up, similar numbers, not his first year numbers, but similar numbers what he's doing, that's plenty of value.
Well, yeah,
have on your
production.
team.
Najee Harris, the one.
Production.
Now, have you ever owned a
Production.
Najee
Sorry.
Harris in Dynasty?
Me?
Yeah.
I own several.
Okay, yeah. If you own Najee, if anyone's owned Najee, you'll know. I had him on a team for the past 2 seasons, and I finally got rid of him. You cannot get a second-round pick for Najee Harris until this Chargers thing. Like, you could, it was impossible. You could not get a second. I've tried so many times just to get a second because I just didn't need him in my team, and although if I needed him, I would have kept him. I couldn't get a 211. I can't get anything. I finally got somehow the 206 for him. Actually, I ended up getting the 206 kind of for him. It was like, I ended up having to throw something in. But I was like stoked to get that. That was actually before I signed with the Chargers. It was just like a new owner and taking over Orphan. Najee Harris will as far as the production, Najee Harris can literally be on par with Zay Flowers. Completely agree with that. On the flip side, Zay Flowers' dynasty value or like range of outcomes is far higher than Najee Harris. So it's a good thing for both sides. The Colossal's looking for production. He can get that on Najee Harris.
Sure. I'm not
Seb
arguing that
needs
by
some
any
value.
means.
Exactly, yeah. Seb needs some value. Now he's got a chance that he can flip him right now or whatever he wants to do with him, or he can put up a good season. So it's really fun because they're both kind of useful for different things, but they might score the same amount of points this season or whatever, right? So, and their values are drafts to get different, so they have different uses. So it's a fun deal.
We just get like one, injury to Derrick Henry or something, and something goes. Maybe one receiver, maybe Mark Andrews or something, and maybe Zay Flowers takes off and has a top 10, and all of a sudden he's being drafted at the 3-4 turn because it's a third-year breakout. He finally did it. Whatever. So there is a path to like really gaining value there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I do acknowledge that. I just want to.
I mean, he's also been really good in like real life circumstances. The funny, he had that nuclear stretch. He's just inconsistent. It's just you see these 4 points, 5 points, 2 points. Like, if you get those up to 10s, people are looking at Zay Flowers a lot differently. So we'll see if he can kind of get a better floor.
But yeah, if
I did look up his stats, and it was a lot fewer than I thought of the low games. So you were right, Dan. All the receivers have that. I thought it was like so many more, and it's just my disappointment in those weeks potentially, So also I sold him right before he went off last year in one league, so that really kind of.
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah. So you're gonna be a little bitter about that. Yeah, I know how you feel. Yeah, we've all made trades like that before.
You know how I feel.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, Flowers, I think he is kind of easy to overlook, but I think there's a little more upside than people give him credit for. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in year 3. I think there are some scenarios where he could surprise some people. By the way, we got Sebastian in the chat here. He says, "Oh Dan, don't worry, more trades are coming in discussions." Yeah. So we might be having some more trades to break down here soon.
Yeah.
He also said,
"Yeah, why don't you make one happen right now, buddy, so we can talk about it."
Chat about here. Yeah, we'll give you a live breakdown.
Hit the accept button.
You can call me Schefter of the break room. I got a little bit of details. Right. I won't spill them, but there is a big deal. In
Blake's
discussions.
Like the middleman, like he's like bringing people together, like bringing deals together. He's been kind of in a
there's some discussions. Position. So I don't know what's the update on that, but it was I like the deal, so we'll see if it comes there.
Well, but yeah, Sebastian says Blake knows my reasons behind this. Only 4 of us been trading: Titan, me, Dan, and Dakota. Everyone else just wants more or takes forever to decide. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of dynasty leagues. I mean, not everyone is like super responsive, and of course, like we all got busy lives and everything like that. So some are better about responding to those offers than others. But yeah, I think the break room has been a ton of fun, though. I mean, honestly, it's probably becoming like one of my favorite leagues. I mean, it's probably like the most active right now. It's just been like consistently active ever since the startup. It really hasn't like died down. I mean, that momentum is carried forward. And we still got trades happening, and we got a lot of talk in the chat. A lot of cool people in that league. So yeah, it's been a super fun league to be in.
Yeah, tons of trades. Big ones.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And Sebastian, Blake and I haven't actually been making any offers or getting any offers. I don't think, but we'll probably make some moves come draft time. You don't always see a lot of action
Yeah.
after a startup, but
Yeah.
but both of us are very active after the season ends as well. It's not, we try and prepare to have our team ready to go for the startup from the draft. I mean,
Mhm.
ready for the season after the startup, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking from our
Usually don't
But
make
team,
more moves until
yeah.
there's more news. Like
yeah.
once the news comes out and there's training camps and there's this and there's
Well, how
injuries
about
and
I was just saying, how about the rookie draft? I mean, that's going to be like
Oh
the
yeah,
big thing
we'll
here.
be
It's really going to be,
rolling.
a lot of
yeah,
variables. I mean, to say the least. So,
oh for sure.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
Excited for it.
oh heck yeah. I mean,
yeah.
and yeah, let's talk about some rookies here. Because like draft is what 8 days away. So like we're here. I feel like the off season has gone by pretty fast. I feel like usually it's like it's going
Gosh.
to take forever for the draft to get here, but I feel like it's flown by pretty fast this year. So it's upon us here. Um,
Mm,
what are you guys doing like with your? I mean, I think all of us have like a kind of a portfolio of dynasty teams. So are there any like
mhm.
last minute moves that you guys are looking to make before the NFL draft? Because a lot of things are about to change. So like, what's important to you right now for your teams? Like, what are those last minute preparations that you're looking to do or that you have been doing, if any?
I mean,
Blake, do you want
yeah,
to go first?
yeah. I'll go first here. Yeah, I mean, well, let me say first, I guess. I mean, kind of like Josh was saying, when there's not really any news, so free agency period happened. Like that's a time to spark trades. After that, it's hard. Like there's a lot of deals I want to make, but it's like, why would I go trade for that backup running back? Like they might have their job replaced or extra. It just their value can only go down and things like that. So it's been very difficult to
Mm.
send trades out and want to do trades because it's pretty much like negative EV no matter what you do. If you unless you're trading for a stud or something like that can't be touched by the draft. So that's mostly
Or if
what
you're
I've been
trading
doing.
for pick, right?
Or if you're trading for a
Yeah,
pick, but of course it's been so hard, and I've got some deals off
yeah,
like that. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, basically, if there's a player that you are really worried about, or you have too much of them before the draft, that would be one. Like today, I got rid of one of my three Tracy's, basically a straight swap for ETN. I have no idea if Tracy's going to make it or not. I
hmm
could give reasons why he will, or what reasons why he not. It won't. I figured I'll split it up, kind of hedge. I don't have an ETN, so that's like one I did.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like that move. I'm kind of coming around on ETN. Inherited him on an orphan team. And we've seen him be like a top 5 running back before. So, like, I don't think it's crazy to think that. I mean, I'm not expecting to be like top 5 again necessarily, but like, I could see scenarios in which he finishes as like a top 12, borderline top 12 kind of guy. He's still young. He had a bad season. I don't know exactly why. I mean, it was kind of a bad season for the Jags in general. Um,
Hmm.
and I think he was dealing with some injuries as well. It didn't seem like he was quite himself. But it'll be interesting with Cohen coming in there. Like, could he kind of have that Bucky Irving role? Anyways, that's kind of a tangent. Feel free to comment on that, Joshy, or feel free to answer. What are you looking to do leading up to the NFL draft on your dynasty teams?
Yeah. Well, um, I want to talk about a trade that I made a long time
Okay.
ago with Hoxie.
Mhm.
I gave him Jefferson. Um, but I don't have the whole trade in front of me. Maybe Diggs can
Okay.
bring it up. But
Yeah. How long ago was this?
I can find it.
a few months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you find it. But I gave up. I got three firsts, including the 103, the
Mhm.
108, and his 2026 first.
Okay.
Which is projected low, but he's made some moves, so who knows? He just doesn't have a lot of depth. He could get there.
Right.
But I did it with the hope, with the potential that it could be an early first.
Okay.
I gave a lot of backups running backs back,
hmm
but the whole thought of that deal was that they could all get cannibalized in this draft.
Right.
And if that happens, I didn't lose anything.
Right.
So if Diggs was probably looking at it, I wouldn't have given away that running back. I wouldn't have given that running back.
Right.
And like God, those guys are gold. But Oh, there it is. So I gave away Justin Jefferson, Dylan Lave. I wanted to keep Ray Davis, but Ray Davis, Benson, and Wright. All the guys that people love,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I gave a 26 second and a 26 fourth. I
Okay.
got Shakir, Parker Washington, and the 3 firsts.
Okay. Interesting.
Since then, Shakir got a contract. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to maintain value the most.
Okay.
I thought Parker Washington could end up being in the slot role.
Yeah.
So that still remains to be seen. I think they're going to draft someone, but whatever. And I got 3 firsts. The whole point of this was to consolidate, get younger, have I already have enough wide receivers. I have Rashee Rice, I have Godwin, I have, it's a start 11, it's a half point tight end premium.
Mm-hmm.
I have no running backs. My only running back was Tyrone Tracy. I needed to get into the draft to get running backs, and so I was just trying to flip the team around.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point of this trade. And if all these guys are cannibalized, I just didn't lose that value because I was going to get it anyway. You know what I mean? But I wasn't going to get the deal done if I didn't include those running backs.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
it is interesting because you make the trade because these running backs, but yet you trade away 3 running backs. But I get it. They could be a lot less valuable through the NFL draft. Yeah. Certainly, 1 or 2 of them could be. But yeah, those are backups I like. It will be really interesting to see how many of them survive the draft. I'm pretty optimistic.
I really want to say Wright is the only one that really could get replaced likely, and I don't even know if that's 100% likely. But Davis, I don't think they're going to take one because it's Ty Johnson, and Benson, they just drafted Benson, so it doesn't really make sense that those 2 would get killed in the draft. Dan, what do you think?
I guess the way you could look at it is could you kind of cross off the combination of Shakir and Parker Washington with those 3 running backs? I'd probably you could argue it either way. Shakir is the safest asset of those 5 players. Even so, I do like those backup running backs. I feel like I'd slightly prefer the 3 running backs to Shakir and Parker Washington.
Yeah.
But you could call that close enough to even that you could kind of cross them off. So you do basically get your 3 firsts for Jefferson. And if one of those is the 103, you could pretty easily turn that into 2 late firsts or 2 random firsts. So you could argue you're basically getting 4 firsts for Jefferson, even if they're
And I have the future first, which could be an early first.
Yeah. So that's I love the upside of that. Blake loves doing that.
Also, having someone's first that's not in great shape, if they want to buy it back,
right?
I have that, and I can get Jefferson back for a little bit less.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because then the value of that pick is value. It's a point is for him to get back and then tank. So then that value, it doubles the value of it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's tough to trade for your own first back when you want to tank with it because the other managers in the catbird seat there. So, and then what about the other first? Was the other one besides the 103? Was it also a 25 pick? And where was that?
Yeah, it was a 108, and we talked about this in the last deal. I traded it for Bucky, basically.
Oh yeah,
okay. So that meant, which I like.
So
yeah, oh yeah. So you plug Bucky in there.
Again, it's all about. No, I traded for Bucky. We talked about it in the last live stream.
Yeah.
But it's all about that's the other thing about picks.
Mm-hmm.
And I should mention that when we talked about this off stream. Some guy has 6 picks in this draft, so people want picks, and he's been MIA for most of the offseason.
He's there. He's just waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I now have picks, and people want picks. So I think I got a little bit better of a deal for Bucky than I could have. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always willing to move the picks if need be, or I'm willing to use them. So I'm willing to use Jefferson. I'm always willing to sell the best asset in a deal because that draws people in.
Yeah.
And first round picks and S tier players or elite players are the ones everyone wants.
Yeah.
And I feel when you're in a start 11, you can tear down off of those players. I didn't tear down off of these players. There's no one back in Jefferson in this deal that I can call it a tear down.
Right. You
But
basically
because of my other wide receivers, I felt it was reasonable.
yeah.
I also
So
have DJ Moore in this league. I think maybe not. I'm not sure. But
Yeah, you bring up a really interesting perspective, Josh, and I think we're kind of similar dynasty players because, like, I think we're both more open to tear down trades or maybe in this case a cash out trade than like most dynasty managers
Mhm.
are. I feel like the average dynasty manager is like, just give me the best player in the deal.
right,
Especially in a start 11, like it becomes harder and harder to do that. And yeah, I mean, I like this. I mean, like, I didn't think I was going to like it at first with giving away those 3 running backs because I do think those are fun backups. You know, we'll see how they survive with the NFL draft, but I
right,
can do a lot with those picks. I think it could make a lot of sense in a start 11. And like I mentioned, like, you know, Shakir kind of cancels out those running backs a little bit, you know, combined with Parker
a
Washington.
little bit.
Maybe you get lucky with them. It's close enough. So yeah, I really don't think that's a bad deal. And then when you get the Bucky Irvin for the 108, like I love that. So that makes the trade look even better. But I think the most interesting thing you said is that you like moving off like the best player in the deal because it draws people in. That's so true. I think that's one of the most underrated things about tear down trades is it does draw people in. Like when you do that, all of a sudden, oh, now you have the manager's attention, you know, whereas before, like they're not responding to offers, like, you know, they're hemming and hawing, but then you put Justin Jefferson on the table, all of a sudden now you got their full attention. Now you're like in the position of power where you're saying, okay, I want this, I want that. Like you're basically, you can just like name whatever you want for the most part. So I like being in that position of power and like now I can get a trade done and get a bunch of picks that I was interested in. I can get a bunch of sleepers that I was interested in. Whereas before, it can be like pulling teeth with certain managers. So it really opened
Right.
up a lot of possibilities that weren't there before.
Yeah.
yeah,
And this team was pretty it was just bare bones, you
Yeah.
know, and it was just getting by. And, you know, I
Mhm.
had some injured guys. I bought them at, you know, at the end of the year. And I have lads, so that was good.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean, one of the pieces, I had enough running back, wide receivers. Vlad, Rashid Rice, Shakir now, which is, I can put him in there, serviceable.
Oh
Shaheed,
yeah.
if he does something. I have Jacoby Myers, who I can always put in, and Godwin. So I have enough wide receivers to
Mhm.
actually, and, you know, obviously 10 more or something, because we have a 30-man roster, 35 with the
Okay.
taxi, I'm sure.
Nice. So
And
what are you looking to do with the 103? Like you kind of just like gonna see who falls there? Like are you open to trading it? Like do you have any kind of plan with the
yes,
103?
both. Whoever falls there, best available,
Right.
is probably the way I'd lean. Ideally, I'd like to, you know, trade back. I have
Mhm.
no second round picks, so I'd love to like trade
Yeah.
back a few spots and nab a second rounder.
the
Oh, yeah.
one
I
the
don't know
one
if I want to
issue with
move
that
too far back.
the one issue with the trade back is very league dependent, but I wonder if you can pull it off. I'm actually at pick 9, but the only person behind you is the guy with 6 first, basically in like the close range, right? I don't
Yeah,
think
I
anyone's
know.
anywhere because I think someone has 8 now. Hoodie has 8, so it's a pretty far trade back. Is I think the one issue with going from 3 back is you still might be able to get it with Avengers if he likes the pick a player at 3. But he might just kind of play that
Right.
like I'm gonna just take whoever you don't. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Sure.
Sorry, yeah. If
I
you're gonna
understand.
keep going, what I was gonna say was that I remember messaging you about this one, and you know I'm always like the big Jefferson guy. But here's the thing: I'll trade Jefferson, and all your points are right about, you know, hey, like you're in the driver's seat now. But that was my issue with this deal is you weren't in the driver's seat in my opinion, right? Like you had to throw. You said it yourself. You
Mhm.
had to throw in Ray Davis. You had to throw Trey Benson in. You had to throw Jalen Wright in. Like those guys should not have been in this deal at all. The second and the fourth
Yeah.
in this deal should cover Shakir because you're giving up Jefferson. I get you do have the
Yeah.
103, but we know, especially when this deal was made, people didn't like the 103. The 103 was the same as the 108 in people's mind, anyways. So, like, I think you should have got way, 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 way better credit on those 3 first. One of them's in 26, and this guy is trading for Jefferson and all those running backs. That's one of the issues too. You're giving up like more assets, and you gave away the best player. You know what I mean? So like. That
Yeah.
the structure of the
Yeah.
deal is like very like you know this is not how I trade Jefferson at all. Basically, is like my opinion on it. You know,
Yeah,
I think
no,
it can
no.
work out because you
I
got
know.
Bucky Irving, But like,
I think he can work out, but
I want to be the guy saying Ray Davis. I want Trey Benson. I want Jalen Wright. I want the second, the fourth,
right.
and I'll give you Khalil Shakir. You know, that's how the deal, like in my opinion, should go when you're giving up Jefferson, because that's the point of trading a Justin Jefferson. He's like, you're in the driver's seat. You get the pile of chips. You don't give because you gave the pile of chips away, and like because Trey Benson could easily be more than Shakir. Ray Davis and Jalen Wright technically could get there as well. Like they're not too far off an injury or something, right? So it's a lot, and you need running backs. So now it's that was my issue with it, right?
I did kind of overlook the fact that like the second run there, I completely forgot about that. You know, I think I could live with the 3 running backs if those 2 picks weren't in there. But like, I feel like the trio of running backs and the 2 picks threw in, like one of those 2 sets like should not be in there at a minimum. But I think Blake convinced me on that. Like, exactly. Like, if you're in the driver's seat, like you should be in the driver's seat. But like, if Hawkeyes is telling you, no, I need these like 3. You know, high upside, intriguing. You know,
and you probably didn't even need them. You know, I probably should have been more patient with it, to be honest. But
but that's the best part about having Jefferson is what's the worst case? You still have Jefferson. You know, you can't get
exactly because if Hawkeyes is demanding of like needing all these like fun handcuff running backs, is like he's probably not like the best trade partner. Like you could probably wouldn't be that hard to find someone else that's interested in buying Justin Jefferson at a reasonable price or market value at least.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if this deal was like I think for some like I don't know how the deal went down, but I imagine like in my head if you guys like if there was a real trade between the 3 firsts and Jefferson gonna happen, like a fair deal, like Shakir should have just been removed completely, and then that way now you can just remove Davis, Benson, Wright, and a second and a fourth, because like I feel like somehow Shakir being in there just like added 4 assets.
Muddy the waters.
Yeah, like muddy the waters for some reason, where it should be going the other way. So that was and I love those backups. Like, and they can not survive. But I guess I think Wright would be the one, and now you still have Benson and Davis, and Benson, as much as I don't know, you know, is he gonna be a future Cardinals starter or not? I mean, his upside for value is far more than Shakir's. So. You know, even though it isn't right now, so it's a little scary there.
Sure,
right. The Bucky is a good.
Sometimes like
well, that's debatable, right?
But yeah, sometimes a random player like Shakir being in a deal can just kind of muddy those waters. Like I was negotiating a deal recently where I was trying to get David Njoku in this crazy tight end premium league. It's like 5.0 tight end premium. It's really wacky scoring.
Wow.
And the guy basically wanted like a first and Jatavian Sanders, which, you know, I was considering paying up for because, you know, Njoku could be like a real difference maker in this format. And then like I sent him like a counter where like I was trying to also get like Juwan Jennings added in the deal. And before I knew it, like, you know, apparently because I added Jennings, like all of a sudden, because I added like instead of giving him a first, I wanted to do like a swap where I'd give him like Waddle but get back Jennings. And then what he came back with is like all of a sudden he needed like another first and Waddle still be in there, and it was just like, whoa, wait a minute, like how do we get here? Like if adding Juwan Jennings is gonna, you know, add all this to it, like just, you know, get him into the sun, like get him out of here. Like I don't need him that bad. So like I feel like if you just simplified it, like and just said, okay, you know what, like I'll give you just Jefferson. What are you offering for just Jefferson? Then it's like he can't really like hide behind any smoke screen of like, oh, Shakir and Parker Washington and all these running backs and a fourth. And like, you know, these are all they're all distracting you from the heart of the deal, which should have just been like Jefferson for the 3.
Yeah. Right. And I think that even because one's in a future and one's the 103 in like a weak top end class. So it's like that should have done it as is in my opinion. And I like the going for the 26 first because you're right. He doesn't have a lot of depth on his team. Now, the issue is kind of you gave him at least some
now
handcuffs.
He does if any of these guys hit.
Exactly. You gave him the depth if they hit, which is like, when I'm making that trade, that's a trade I would look for. I would look for that partner that doesn't have the depth, just like you did. My issue is there's no way in hell I'm giving him a second to work with in those 3 running backs, even if you're taking Shakir off, because, man, we know running backs, they can just fall in the end zone any week, which goes against their max points for, and they're an injury away from, you know, just being as productive as Justin Jefferson potentially on a weekly basis.
Yeah, you made it too easy on him. You gave him way too many outs. I mean, like all you have to do is like when he starts asking for all these running backs, all you have to say in the chat in the DM is, "I'm giving you Justin Jefferson." Like like kick rocks. Like you're not getting all these running backs off of me. Like I'm the one that's gonna be making the demands here. So I think it's a good lesson learned. But I do think there's scenarios where you can still like make this work. There's definitely a lot of upside on your side. Bucky Irving for the 108.
The Bucky's a good start.
I think you'll be fine, and I think you can definitely take away a lesson from this as well. So, like, it's all good.
And I'm going to get the best player in the draft at the 103. We'll put it that way, okay? Whoever that is.
All right.
Whoever it is, I don't know. I don't know who it is, but it's going to be on my team because that's the way it was meant to be.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And then,
but hey, man,
you live and learn. I will tell you one thing I've done from this because, startups and active playing is very different, obviously. When you're doing a startup draft and you can trade, you're under a clock. And so people have that pressure and there's a time frame. And so you have a certain period of time to get as much value you can for a particular pick. So in every startup, besides the one Blake and I did together, in every startup this year, I have traded my first round pick. And I've done rather well for myself with almost all of them. Actually, progressively better each time.
I did the same.
And that's the lesson I learned. I said, I'm going to take the value now. I already learned this lesson because I learned, oh shoot, these running backs are going to could bite me in the butt threefold, but that's okay. So I'm going to sell them now, and I'm going to get as much as I can now. And then I don't have to worry about working with these other people later. And now that's the lesson. That's how I've already put it into practice in the last 2.5 months.
So what's the lesson? Trading, that trading your first in a startup is usually a good move, or getting off.
No. What you told me that I gave up too much, and I should be able to demand what I should put the demands down. And I'm like, well, because of I don't have a ton of time. I don't have a ton of time to I'll put something aside. I'm in double-digit leagues. Like, I don't want to put something down and come back to it. I want it to be done with, and I want to move on from it. So it doesn't work for my lifestyle so much, And then it's like, if the wife's like, oh, why are you picking up the phone? Like, why can't you put your phone aside? And I'm like, because I'm in the middle of a communication. That's not the way I want to live my life.
I appreciate that.
And so that's part of the reason that this trade went down the way it did, is that I want to get things done in a timely fashion. And that's not the best way to do deals in Dynasty. The best way to do deals in Dynasty is to let things marinate and not rush them.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I totally
So there's several lessons that I've learned in this process, and I've shared some of them with you about, my lifestyle and how I want to live. And, And one suggestion is that you look at your phone or your computer or both, at a certain time every day, and you let every manager know that you're dealing with, like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get back to you until X time tomorrow because I spend an hour every day looking at my phone or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's an approach. And then everyone, the problem is that my schedule is so busy sometimes that I don't have that luxury every day. It's like I try and squeeze it in when I can, so.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And, sometimes maybe you have to leave a little value on the table, but it's worth it because you're living a happier life and you're not spending all your time on your phone on Sleeper all day. So, I think that can be well worth it. But yeah, maybe there are some ways that you can, maybe if you get into a negotiation and you're trading Jefferson and the other guys making the demands, maybe you just move on quickly saying hey, this doesn't feel right to me. I'm going to keep shopping him. And, maybe they come back and send you an offer and then you just hit accept on it because they realize okay, I'm not going to push this guy around. He understands that he's got the best asset here that everyone wants. So maybe you can just move on quicker. But yeah, I do appreciate your points. And I don't think that it's a bad move to prioritize your life and your time over Dynasty. As much as we love it.
Yeah. It's funny. I used to, when I first started playing, I used to especially when we were in one league, like, try to message people and, hey man, I got a lot of deals done like that, just like talking to people. I really don't talk to anyone anymore, and nothing. Like, talk to you guys and a couple other people if they got some questions and stuff and an opinion on a trade, or I might shoot it back. But like, when I don't even send messages with deals anymore. I never even try, and I haven't been doing a lot of dealing yet. But like, if an inbox offer comes into me, generally I'm just either counter or it's much better to message, and I will if necessary. But it's funny, I've just noticed, like, if you look at any deal not done, negotiated, I don't really say a word to anyone. I also hate trying to talk people into trades. Like, you're smart, you'll figure it out.
Right.
You know why I'm sending that offer.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can kind of push them over the edge, because like I used to like never try to talk someone into a deal. But there are some times where you can kind of nudge them in that direction. Sometimes they almost like want you to like convince them a little bit. So, I mean, sometimes I pick my spots with that. But I do appreciate just kind of being, at times like efficient and just kind of down to business with deals. It doesn't always require a lot of talking, though there are cases where it can be beneficial. I mean, that could be like a whole episode just talking like trade strategy and trade etiquette and that kind of thing. So you guys out there are interested in watching a stream or video about that, definitely let us know. But here's one thing, one suggestion that is just kind of an efficient way of kind of cutting through the crap, the BS, and just kind of straight to the point. If you do like send an offer and you got the other person that sends you back a DM kind of, quibbling with this or that, trying to explain like why that's a bad offer or why they should pay less or whatever, you can just come back with a one word response to them. Counter.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say. Counter. You don't like the deal? Counter.
Yeah.
But like, we don't have to have like a big discussion about it. You don't like the offer? Then counter it. Give me an offer back in my inbox that I can then accept, reject, or counter. I mean, you got 3 choices there. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be real complicated. So that's one way that you can kind of just cut through the bull.
Yeah, that's great. That's just how I've been.
It's interesting how like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting because we play a game that revolves around player involvement, right?
Yeah.
And like it's very odd when you send a trade offer to someone and it sits there for a long time.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything, and then after a while they just reject it.
Right.
And they don't counter. Like,
well, I wouldn't even give them that opportunity. Like, I almost always set time limits, like expirations on the trade offers. So you select that in like the upper right corner right before you send it.
Yeah.
The person gets so-and-so has sent you an exploding trade offer. Like, it kind of just creates more of like an excitement and sense of urgency. So I like doing that for the most part. And then also I don't want to like forget about a trade and then they accept it like weeks later when some news came out or whatever. But also I don't want to give the person the advantage of being able to just like sit on this offer for like days, for weeks. Like, no, like I want them to know, like, when they get a trade offer from me, there's a time limit on it. Like, you got to like, either crap or get off the pot here. Like, we don't got a day to wait around. Like, I got other offers out, or I might want to first know whether I can get this deal done before I send an offer to someone else that maybe is like my second choice for a player I'm trying to get in exchange for what I'm sending away. So like, I usually send it for like 1 or 2 days, and if they can't respond by then I'm moving on to the next. So I don't like to mess around like too much with that. And yeah, just don't give your opponent the luxury of just being able to sit on it forever. If you forgot to put a time limit on it,
you can always change it.
Yeah, you can always change it. Yeah, that's something I do sometimes, just to let them know, like, hey, this ain't going to be here forever. Another thing I like, and I got this from Blake, and I've been saying this at times, is like, if I didn't put a time limit on it and it's been like a few days, you can message the manager and say like, hey, I noticed that offer I sent is still, sitting around. I take it you're not interested, make it seem like, hey, like you're ready to pull this offer, because you're just assuming like they're not interested. And in some cases, they're probably not interested, but in others are like, oh, no, wait, like, no, I'm still thinking about it or whatever. And then all of a sudden now you kind of got their attention, you got a dialogue going. So that's something I like to do as well. So I think there are a lot of little like nuances to the way you can communicate during trades and the way you can send them and structure them and put the time limits on them. There's a whole psychology to it, and I honestly, it's like one of my favorite things about Dynasty. So definitely a topic I enjoy talking about. But those are just a couple examples.
I have a trade offer out there that's been out there for I don't know how long.
Hmm.
Years.
Yeah.
And I DM'd him, I messaged him the other day, and I'm like, I don't know what I say. What I say? Oh, I basically, oh, still mulling it over. I'm like, yo, where you at with this offer? Still mulling it over.
Oh,
I'm like,
geez.
well, it's he when I sent it, he's like, damn, it's 15 days ago. Damn, interesting offer.
Right.
That's what he write because it's but he would be basically deciding to sell, and tear it down
Okay.
with
Hmm.
the offer in his mind. So, and he need to rebuild, but his team needs to be rebuild anyway. So, well, I don't know if it needs to, but um, so that's a big decision, I guess, for right now. But I'm going to contact him after we get off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
Still
just
mulling it over.
cut to the chase. I mean,
still mulling it over.
yeah, no, just put 24 hours on it. You don't even have to say anything.
I'm not. I'm
Put
not.
24 hours
No,
on it,
yeah.
see what happens, you know?
I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way
It's
to do
just,
it. If
it's
someone,
just a game.
yeah, I actually that's a good way of putting it. Actually, how I tend to do things because I like talking to people if they are interested or something too. Like that's generally when I'm trying to talk to people. But like if someone's just one of those people that doesn't accept or decline, like I put minimal effort in trades with them or like trying to do things with them. Like I'll try to give back the energy that they're giving. It's a good way to put it.
Right.
I'm not gonna invest time.
Yeah,
trying
for
to
sure. Like,
negotiate with them.
yeah, and if we're talking about kind of quality of life and not spending all day on your phone, like don't waste your time with those people that like never make trades, that don't respond, that always want like way more than a player's worth. Like don't even waste your time with them. I mean, if they send you an offer and you're intrigued and you think you can counter and get a deal done, okay, you can make an exception, but I don't even like to waste my time with those people because you just end up wasting your time.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've
Yeah.
really changed. Like I start to, and I almost might do it like a little too much now, where it's like I'm just kind of counting people out. Like I'm not gonna waste my time sending them an offer when maybe I actually should be. The Bucky Irving one, for example, where Josh got Bucky for the 108. I mean, if I done that, I had the 109. I would have been willing to throw a nice receiver on board there to get that deal done. But yeah, so interesting. Thoughts on all that, but what about you? All the way back to I don't know. It must have been half an hour on all that. What are you doing? Pre-draft moves? Anything? Any thoughts?
I mean, of course, like the biggest thing that comes to mind is like getting off any running backs that you're worried about. Some of the situations, some of the NFL team backfield situations, like seem more secure than others. So like. Of course, like David Montgomery is like a guy I bought like 2 shares of just because like how are the Lions going to draft a running back like day 1, day 2? Like it's just it can't happen. Like I mean that would be like the most bizarre thing ever. There are other examples of it. I mean I feel like Minnesota's like pretty safe. Like Carolina seems pretty safe. I mean of course like there could be surprises, but like we're talking in percentages. So like. As a team, like, I mean, look at the RB2, even look at like the RB3, but like, we talked about like Arizona. I mean, they just spent the 3rd on Trey Benson. The Dolphins just spent a future 3rd on Jalen Wright to draft him in the 4th because they traded a future pick for it. So basically, like, they spent a 3rd on him. So, like, I don't think there's too much risk with those guys, which, was part of the reason why I didn't like them included in that Jefferson deal. But yeah, so I mean, I have bought like a surprising amount of running backs this offseason, but they've kind of been like carefully cherry picked for the most part. I mean, there are maybe a few acquisitions that I regret or that I'm a little more nervous about now than I was when I acquired them. So I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but if there is a time where like, I mean, you don't want to let like fear just like dictate your decision because like if you believe in the player, like we just always assume that like all these rookies are gonna like pan out and be amazing and like the rookie's gonna come in, he's gonna like take the job. Like it's not always gonna happen. So like I don't want to like let fear dictate my my moves, but I just want to look at things like fairly, realistically, look at a range of outcomes, what makes sense, what's most likely to happen, which backfields are more at risk than others, and is that built into the price? Because in some cases it's not. Like with like Jerome Ford, I mean, if you just need some cheap running back production, like people are already assuming he's going to get nuked. So like you really don't have to you don't have to pay a second for him or anything. Like you can get him for like a late third, couple fourths, and he could make sense on specific rosters. So like I'm not saying like don't buy any running backs. I definitely have bought plenty of them this offseason, a surprising amount. But yeah, there are some where it's like if the risk isn't built into the price, I'm happy to cash out. I don't need to set a lineup anytime soon. I'll probably be able to get, either a very nice player with the pick that I trade the running back for, or, I mean, it's going to be rookie fever. You're going to be able to get a lot for these picks on the clock, or you just take the chance on the rookie, worst case scenario. So, yeah, I mean, there are certain running backs that come to mind. Like we talked about Tracy, that is one I do have some concerns over. I could probably think of some others. But yeah, I mean, that's certainly the most obvious thing that comes to mind. And then the other one is I always like trading up in drafts before the NFL draft, because like my philosophy is when I'm on the clock in the rookie draft and that player falls to that pick that I didn't expect to be there, that's like a great value. Oh man, am I glad that I traded up? I'm glad I traded those 2 picks to get this higher one, right? At the same time, maybe because that player fell, now someone's offering me a king's ransom to come and get that pick, and I end up getting more than the 2 picks I gave to trade up. Or if I do feel like the tier's a bit flat, not everyone might see it that way. Someone might be interested in trading up and getting their guy because they just love this one particular player. And worst case scenario, I can probably trade back and essentially like reverse the deal and at least get like 90 to 100% of what I paid to move up in the first place. So I feel like if, within reason, like there's not a ton of risk in trading up if you are doing it kind of at fair value. And if you're not sure what that looks like, keep trade cut can usually be pretty decent with that with rookie picks. You got to be careful trusting it too much. You got to use your own judgment and experience. But if you are like new to Dynasty, like if you can at least kind of get, keep trade cut in the ballpark when you're trading rookie picks, I don't mind trading up before the NFL draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. I mean, we actually, all 3 of us were in a deal like that last year. Although I think Joshy got probably the best of us in the end. But it's confusing because there's just so many trades that rookie draft. But we famously, we made the right decision. We traded up for the 108 because the golden tier was at 7. We're like, someone's going to slip in. We thought it was McCarthy. It ended up being McCarthy and then kind of Bowers. Ended up being the 8th and 9th guy. Or sorry.
It wasn't the golden tier the top 8 because of McCarthy.
Well, but we traded to pick 8, but at the time it was 7. Consensus said only pick 7. The 7th guy is the tier. We preemptively traded to pick 8.
Oh, we had pick 8 and we traded it away.
No. We traded for pick 8.
It was going to end up being the cutoff was going to be 8.
Yeah, we traded picks 112 and 204 to get to 8. Dan.
Oh. And we traded up for 8, yeah.
And the reason we did that
makes more sense. Obviously, I like trading up, so.
Yeah, and we traded well ahead of the draft and gave him a good deal because, well, we didn't know pick 12 was going to be like the literal threshold. It was going to be close for the next kind of part. But with the information we had, we thought 8 could be a good one, and we could get a player we really like to trade back again, just like you were saying.
Right.
And then, I don't even know what ended up happening with all that. Somehow we ended up with Ladd, Josh ended up with Worthy, then we swapped them in season and blah, blah, blah. But that was an example where we did it, where we were right, and I think Josh was probably pretty happy, though he did that deal too. I feel like we probably both sides of, the 204 didn't end up being the great.
I came up for Bowers.
You came up for Bowers. Actually, we ended up with the 2-4 back somehow, and we picked Penix there, I think. So I don't even know what the hell happened with all those picks, but somehow we're probably all
we made
happy.
A lot of different deals. Yeah, I feel like Josh, he wanted to like reverse that trade, that trade with the 108, and so there were a bunch of different deals that happened. But somehow
I would have been happier if
we might have
trophy, but
we might have just like nearly reversed that trade on the clock. But
I think we practically,
yeah. Then we ended up with Penix, and you ended up with Bowers.
I gave you a future second.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you ended up
25th second.
Yeah, somehow you ended up with Bowers. We ended
That's
up
how you
with,
got your second back.
Okay, yeah. Well, we had like 6 of them.
with Ladd, but then we traded him for Worthy, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah, we came up with Ladd and Penix, and that was a fun
That's why
draft.
I wanted to get the second from you, by the way, instead of the third. That's why I wanted to get the second from you when we were making that deal, Blake. because I was like, I'll just get my second back, and then I'll feel like
Yeah.
I didn't lose so much. I just traded Gibbs. Oh fuck, I'm having a cramp. Sorry. I just traded Gibbs away for peanuts. First lesson learned.
Oh yeah.
Not the worst trade I made, but um, yeah, that was a bad trade. But it was that night that I think we were talking about it, and we were setting up that trade, if I remember correctly. I don't know if we did it. Maybe we did it soon thereafter.
Yeah.
I only remember it because I was away on vacation.
Somehow we're both probably really happy with that deal, but like Dan and I probably could have been happier with the different outcomes. But we still got Penix, well, and then temporarily Lad. Worthy's still great, but yeah, trading up before.
I mean, yeah, the jury's out, not out on Worthy yet. You know.
Yeah. I didn't.
And you might have a buying opportunity on Lad if they draft a receiver. I think they're going to go tight end and not receiver because I think they still drafted QJ in the first round. So like, why not just use him for the downfield threat? Even though he drops the ball a million times.
Yeah, I heard something. Well, because there was a sleeper blowing on Keenan Allen.
And Keenan Allen's probably going to go.
And there was a sleeper blowing Keenan Allen, but you know what? I saw someone say that it was like, it might be like half joking, but like I can totally see this being true. Like this is something that actually happens in the NFL and stuff. They're like, he'll wait till after the NFL draft, and then they got like some handshake deal kind of thing because it is the compensatory draft pick period right now. If you do a signing, like I'm sure Keenan Allen's not getting much money, but if they sign him, it goes against their capital, next year. Well, they can also go in the draft, see how it plays out, and then it's just like, all right, we're signing you now, we're ready to go. Like there's like all the ties. They did it with Mike Williams already, for probably absolute peanuts. So I'm definitely believing or buying that. And there's Amari Cooper out there, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if that affects his value at all, but I think they'll end up with at least one more tight end and receiver. Post draft, veteran, rookie, whatever it is. There's no veteran tight end, so they'd have to draft one. But Joshy,
let me ask you this. Go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, I made a trade, kind of pretty actually really similar to the one that we made. Actually, yeah, this is like almost identical to the one Dan and I made Walter Waite's Lab last year. I traded in touchdown celebrations. Mm-hmm. That's the league that Joshy traded Jefferson away in. I traded the only pick at the time because Joshy had owned an extra. He had owned that pick before he sent it for Bucky. There was one guy I could get in that was not Joshy or my buddy that has 6 picks, and it was this one guy Whitesmith. So I went to him because they weren't budgeted. So I was like, I'm getting in this first. I'm seeing what it takes because I'll pay a little bit extra right now just to get in. I sent the 2-1 because I own the 2-1, 2-2, and 2-3. He wanted the 2-1, and then I had the 2-6 as well. So I just said, take him. I'll take the 109, and I'll get a early 4th back or whatever, just get a 2-for-2 going for what that's worth. But I was like, yeah, I don't love it at the time, but the reason I did it was not even with any player in mind. I'll have an idea, obviously, what players I'll have. But now I can get a chance to trade back up, trade back down. Like, I just feel like pick 9 is such a awesome spot in this draft.
Yeah.
Where I'm probably gonna be really happy. Whereas my issue was if I own picks 1, 2, and 3, I might be stuck with 2 quarterbacks and a tight end stuck on the Colts or something like that, or a receiver I don't want, or a running back I don't want. It's just I want to at least have a little bit of choice on my
all the leftovers.
And I have a pretty deep team, so it was just it is a start 11, but I'm not really having to worry about depth. So I thought that was a fun one where I kind of just willingly felt like I gave up a better deal to the other owner, but we'll see how it works out,
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you got any thoughts.
Yeah, you could like Dan said it really well, and at least recoup up at least 90% of your value back. And I like the way you said that. It really paints a clear picture of the fact that this is not a game of exactitudes, and you have to be very flexible, and you might take losses, and it's okay to take losses. It's totally okay to take losses. It's not good to take huge losses, but if you're going to take incremental losses occasionally, with the hope that some of those moves you are going to make larger gains.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
that's a very strong
A
strategy.
lot of Dynasty.
Oh yeah, like I'll be willing to.
Oh, we're
I'll be willing to
connecting.
lose consistently. Yeah, I'll be willing to like make trades where yes, on any one of them I could lose 10% value, but like the
Hmm.
upside is like I could gain like 50% value. So like I'll make that bet every time, and I'm not going to sweat the times where I lost the 10%.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and like that
Yeah.
that was a fun one where it's like, right now, like I am risking a little bit of a loss or something like that in value, but depending on how I play with those picks, like there's a lot of outs you can do. You can just draft a player and be
Yeah,
happy. I thought that was
you're
a
going to be
really
in the
fun
driver's.
one. Yeah, it just gave me an option this draft. Like I'm not gonna, and I did it
Yeah,
like well in advance, so I just didn't have to wait and then have to go
yeah,
talk to strongest Avengers with 6 firsts, held hostage, and Josh he had
right.
2 or 3 at the time or something. So it was really hard to get in that one. So
4.
4. So yeah,
4.
basically they own the entire draft except for like the 101 and that pick I traded for. So it was like I had to deal with that guy anyways. So I was pretty happy. Um, and oh shoot, there was one thing what was really good I was gonna bring up. I don't know if I can quite
I was
recall it.
Well, think about it. I was just going to respond to Joshy's point about like there's a lot more uncertainty in fantasy or dynasty than like people want to admit. A lot of people want to feel like they know what's going to
Yeah.
happen and everything like that. But like it's a lot more random and uncertain than that. So like I'm usually willing to like make the bets on that uncertainty. Like for instance, and this also dovetails with just the general value of trading up before the NFL draft, trading up in your rookie drafts in a league, the one Blake and I met in Blood, Sweat, and Beers. I traded my 107 and a late projected 26 first just to move up 5 spots to the 102. So for context, like this team is pretty loaded. I mean, it has a ton of value, really, really, really solid starting lineup. And I have a ton of picks. I got just a lot of assets to play around with. So I was just like,
What'd you use again?
like,
What'd you use again to move up?
107 and a late projected 26 first, just to move up the five
Like
spots to
really
102.
late projected. Like it's an ultra
Yeah,
team.
like basically like a team with like Chase,
Straight up, nothing back,
Jackson,
nothing to the third or anything, or
nothing else.
straight
Just
up.
2 for 1. Two
Yeah,
for
it
one.
is a guaranteed 26 late for like as guaranteed as it can be.
It's going to be like the 110, 111
Yeah.
at worst,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Okay.
Like first round
Yeah.
buy.
So basically the reason I was willing to do it is like I didn't have like one specific player like, oh, I'm trading up to get Travis Hunter or Hampton or
Hmm.
whatever like player. It was just what I'll see how the NFL draft plays out. I'll see who goes in the good landing spots. I'll see whose stock rises
Right.
between now, which was like a few weeks ago, in the NFL draft. And there's probably a pretty good scenario in which there's someone's stock really rises, they go to a really good landing spot, get really good
Hmm.
draft capital, and all of a sudden that 102 is like a very, very coveted asset where now I'm in the
Sure.
driver's seat with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, I can always reverse it and probably get very close to what I
Yeah.
paid. Or I just draft that player and I'm so happy that I had the chance to draft him now. Whereas if I was on the clock, or the other manager was on the clock at the 102 and they're sitting on this great player that's there, and I'm trying to like, tossing everything under the sun to try to overpay and like, get this pick. But like now I don't have to do that. I just made, a slight overpay to get it, if that. I mean, I think it was pretty fair, and I didn't even hesitate to make that move, not even knowing which player I would likely take there.
You know what I love about that Zach scenario?
What were the league settings?
League
Non-tight end
settings are
premium.
12. Yeah, 12 teams, start 10, PPR, Superflex, no tight end
No,
premium.
you paid the right amount.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh
think
yeah,
so.
because then
Yeah.
Tyler
Once you
Warren's
get
not
once
as
you get it with no
interesting.
tight end premium, and it's just like if you don't like any of these quarterbacks, or if people don't need quarterbacks, that
Yeah.
quarterback might still be there at the 107.
Right.
So you take 4 running backs off the board and 2 wide receivers, and you're stuck with the third wide receiver. You're going to take the guy drafted at the 113 because he was the first one drafted, and you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah, sure.
you really get yourself into a tough spot. For one, for two, I have a couple leagues like that, but also, do you still have do you have any more 2026 firsts?
No,
There are only
at this
one.
point, I
He's
just
got a lot
have
of
my
picks,
own,
though.
like,
That's your own. That's your own. Yeah, yeah. So that's really great. I mean, honestly, that's really great. And I too think it's really easy to then trade the 102 for a 105 and a 201 or something. You're
You know, I
like,
was about to
or
say.
whatever. I mean,
He could trade.
yeah,
He might be able to trade it for like the next pickup, like we call it. Oh, I own the 106, but let's just say he could trade it for the 106, and maybe he gets like a 26 first of like a manager that's not projected to win the league next season. So like he could like
Yeah.
reverse the deal on the
Yeah, yeah.
clock, but now swap
But
first
for a better
basically.
first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
kind of
Right.
funny how that works.
Right.
Like, which would be a great trade.
Right. Because you can always be
you might
like,
get more than
this
that.
is what I paid. This is what I paid, and this is
Yeah.
what I want to get back if I'm going to move
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. Worst case, it's
And
like, hey, if you're
and then
willing
you've
to,
seen it. The proof's there.
yeah, exactly. So like worst case, I just tell the manager that's interested in trading up to 102, just give me
Mhm.
back what I paid, and the pick is yours if I want to do that. I feel like
Right.
most likely that option is going to be on the table. So I felt good about that. And the funny thing too is like I wasn't even trying to make that deal. The offer just appeared in my inbox, and it also made like perfect sense for the other manager who doesn't have that good of a team and is like still like in rebuild mode. You know, they rebuilt last year and they're still not ready to contend this year. So like they're interested in trading 1 first into 2. So it's just like, you know what? Like this just seems like for both sides. I had no plans of trading up, but I was just like saw in my inbox, accept. It was just an easy deal.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that one. That was a good trade. I really like that one actually, and even more so
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and honestly, like I like it more and more each day as we get closer to the draft because I'm like, ooh, like what player's going to be there, and like is Travis Hunter.
It's pretty exciting right now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun. So like, I just love being in the driver's seat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Let me ask you a question because I'm trying to move up from the 112 or the 111 to an earlier pick to 105 or something.
Okay.
So I am trying to do these same moves with you. I think we talked about this before the stream. I have in a league. So I mean, every league's different. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There are several leagues that I had multiple firsts, and there are several leagues that I didn't have any firsts, or some leagues that are startups that I didn't end up with any futures at all, maybe
Okay.
a fourth or something. So I've been trying to move in where I can. Actually, in Walter White's, I got screwed. I couldn't even move in, and then I ended up selling my 2026 first. But I think I got a reasonable deal. Let me ask you about that deal. Do you think I should have done that deal? That's a good question.
Walter White's.
Which one was it?
I traded my 2026 first for Chuba, Jennings, and Garendo.
Oh yeah, that's a great deal.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like
I can't not accept that.
Yeah. I don't like
But
trading my
I don't
first,
have my.
but that's a good
I
deal.
do have 2 seconds for that year, and my team
Yeah.
is just super deep right now. So
That's the only thing I don't like about it is that your team was already like loaded with depth, and now you have even more. But at the same time, that was such a nice offer. Like I don't blame
Right.
you for not being able to turn that away. Like I would have accepted that too. So I do think you're in a great position now where you can start like tearing up, even though.
I've been trying to. No one's giving me shit.
I guess the issue is like maybe the
Hey,
first could have got
we
you.
can talk. I mean,
Yeah, like maybe the first could have got you just the same amount. Maybe you'd have to combine all 3 of those players just to get back to like where your 26 first was in a tier up. I don't know, but I mean, hopefully like Chuba would do the job. He's worth like probably a 26 first. I actually
Right.
declined a 26 first for Chuba, like in season in the playoffs when I was eliminated because I just it was a good team and it was Andrew's team and.
Right.
It's like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna go trade it for that's first for Chuba again in a couple months. Like, come on.
yeah, like you would have needed some leverage on that deal, like at least like
Yeah.
a third or
There's
something.
a lot of injuries though. Like I might just, if I can't tear up, I'm gonna let this team ride out the way it is, and hopefully I get enough. I don't get unlucky and make it to the playoffs. I get a bye if I'm lucky, and if I can take down the trophy this year, and then I just do the best that I can. Sell for
Yeah, I mean, just look out for opportunities and maybe
75 cents on the dollar and just try and rebuild.
yeah, I mean, maybe you just bet on a lot of injuries and like your team will be the last team standing because it has like more depth than anyone by far, probably.
Right.
So it's not the worst thing in the world, but keep an eye out for opportunities to tear up. We could always talk, and also for the audience, it's kind of a funny dynamic here. So the league we're talking about, Walter White's Lab, Blake and I are co-managers, and then Joshy has his own team. But of course, in the other league we were talking a lot about earlier, the Break Room, in that league, Blake and Joshy are co-managers, and then I have, well, I guess technically not my own team. I co-manage it with my brother. You know, I do most of the work, but like, you know, we text about trades and stuff like that. So more of like a silent partner. But it's definitely something that we do
He's
together.
the money behind it.
But anyways, but yeah, it's kind of funny how, yeah, like it's kind of like this, like, you know, funny like triangle with like, you know, Blake is co-managers with each of us in these two leagues that I've been talking more about than
Blake's a co-manager whore. He's like finding he's finding everyone,
I like
everyone in the mud
co-managing,
to go with.
It's a good excuse. It's a good excuse to get more leagues because, you know, come on, 2 co-managed leagues equals 1 real managed league.
It's really boring doing a league by yourself.
It's more fun. It's more fun, you know. It really is.
And it is. I was apprehensive to do it, and then once I did it, I was like, we were finishing the startup. I'm like, yo, I'm with you. This is so much fun. I think like day 1 into it, I'm like, this is the greatest thing, you know.
Yeah. You get.
Well, I think we got to like complete the trifecta here, and Joshy, like you and I got to co-manage a team at some point, so we got to keep an eye out for an opportunity.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
And then we got to have Blake. We've got to have Blake make sure Blake's in the league with his own team.
Yeah. So. I'll be, you know, getting your guys' 101 off you. You know, you'll trade me your first and all that fun stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, especially when you're like, you know, Andrew. I'm with him, and I'm playing against Joshy in another league. Like, it's just hilarious to be one team going and you're playing against Joshy. Mm-hmm. The other one, you're with Joshy and you're playing against you, Dan, and then, you know, so forth, and playing against Andrew. It's hilarious, you know. And you know what's awesome about these co-managed teams is call it a fluke, but Dan and I's team, we came, we just came first of shy of first, but I think we finished second and we got the first round bye in Walter Wade's lab, and we just came shy again. Everything will come down to Jalen Hurts about the story. Don't need to say it again. And Connor. We lost those guys, so we lost in the semis, and so did Andrew and I. But Andrew and I dominated in that one Joshy league, and we came first in there. And we lost because of James Conner and Hurts in there too, of course. So
first of the day, first seed.
Yeah, but we came first seed there, which was awesome. So both my co-managed teams went very well. So maybe there's some little bit of correlation there. We'll see.
There's something to that.
I'm adding 2 co-managed leagues, one with Joshy and one now with Trent. We're going to start up soon, so we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, kind of like something that Blake, you and I always talk about is that, like, you put, like, you know, 2 great dynasty minds together, and, like, you know, good things got to happen there. And, you know, that's why we call, you know, it's a Breaking Bad themed league, obviously. And that's why we call our team Gray Matter Technologies, just like that company that Walt started with, that, like, old friend of his that, you know, he had, like, the falling out with. Yeah, kind of the idea that they, you know, combined forces, you know, their last name's white and black, you know, into gray. So, but yeah, I think co-managing is kind of an underrated thing. It's something I've done with my brother for a few years. Like, I've always, like, my first Dynasty team, I was co-managing with him, and so we've done that like every year since 2020 when I got into Dynasty. And yeah, you know, we talk about it a lot, but I love the way Dynasty just brings people together. So I think co-managing is a really fun way to do that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it, like, you know, when I'm playing with, you know, you get like another side to like other people's way they want to play, and you kind of merge that, and they get that back from you, and then you merge that and you see what happens. Whereas, like, Dan and I are gonna play different than Josh and I are gonna play, and so on, and me and Andrew are gonna play, and you know, you get these different and then you can take that for your own leagues. It's a lot of fun. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, we definitely, like, learn a lot of things from each other, co-managing, and of course also from, like, the YouTube channel. Like, we're always, like, sharing secrets and strategies and all that kind of stuff. And
that's the other thing, is that we're sharing secrets, and then you share them with the same guy. I mean, they're gonna basically get passed down. It's just like, Josh, he really likes Lad. Well, we can get a lot for him, and you know, it's.
Yeah, it gets kind of complicated, and you know sometimes run into things like
nobody wants to give up because you know the game's about leverage, and nobody wants to. You were even alluding to that with Jefferson earlier. You know, I have the leverage. You know, you don't want to give up the leverage. You don't want someone to have leverage against you because you know, then you feel like, you know, backed against the wall, and that's not a good feeling.
Yeah, like, you know, this made me think of this for some reason, but like, have you guys ever seen this? I don't know if this is like a common tactic, but Randy did this to me the other day. So shout out to Randy if he's watching. A great guy. I love making trades with them. But he sent me an offer in this league and then like immediately pulled it. And so like that was his intention. Like he sent the offer and he knew he was gonna like pull it right away just to kind of like show me the deal. And then,
little teaser.
Yeah, kind of a little teaser. And I think the purpose of it is like he kind of wants to see what my reaction to it would be without me actually having the ability to like hit accept on it. You know, if maybe it was too good of an offer for me. But like I don't want to give him that reaction because like then I give up my leverage. Like if I say like, oh yeah, I love that deal. Yeah, send that to me. He's gonna be like, oh wait a minute. Like I probably sent an offer, right? Like that's too good. So like I mean basically what I said to him is like, you know, I basically clarified first because I didn't know if it was like a mistake how it was like immediately pulled. I'm like, you know,
right.
I asked him like, is that a legitimate offer or just a theoretical idea? You know, and he's like, you know, and he explained like why he did it. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, when and if you decide to send me that offer, I will give it thought at that time. You know, but like I'm not going to give him any indication of how I feel about that offer. You know.
Yeah, that's been a good strategy. Josh, you're not in that league where I did that. But there was a famous deal for me, or infamous deal. There was Drake London who I wanted. I think it was after Kirk Cousins signed, and I really wanted him, and I had the 105. So I was like trying to figure out like how I could swap the 105 for Drake London. So what I did is I started with I just did the swap 1-for-1 because this guy like I knew he was kind of shopping him and one of my picks. I pulled the offer though.
He was shopping London.
And I pulled. Well, this guy he keeps flipping everyone. He's been rebuilding forever. So he was like, I gave him the London for the 105 offer, right? Or I think what I did is actually I added in like let's just call it a 212 or something like that. But then what I did is I pulled the offer immediately, like overnight, and then he saw it in the morning. Was like, what the hell? Like, was that? Yeah, he was basically just like. Why do you pull it? And I'm like, I didn't like, I just was like, I didn't really like it. I didn't feel good about it. And I mean, to be fair, like I didn't feel great about it, but I would have done it for sure. But I want him to send me the offer. But what I ended up doing was I was like, okay, like here, I'll give you this offer. I feel just a tiny bit better about it. And I got like the 206 back, I think it was. So I ended up like the 105 for London should have been fair at the time. I mean, you could even say London probably would have been even more valuable than the 105. But then I ended up getting the 206 back because I played the little, cat and mouse game there. I gave him the offer and
This is last year?
Yeah, this is last off season. Yeah. Post free agency.
Little trade tricks, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that's psychology. Somebody knows some psychology, doesn't he?
That's right.
Yeah. And another interesting thing is I don't know how much you guys think about this. I mean, it's probably sounds pretty obvious, but the person that receives the trade offer and has that in their inbox and has the ability to hit accept on it or not, like that's the person that really holds the power. They can just hit a button and boom, the deal's done. They have that player they want or whatever.
Send me an offer.
Exactly. So there are some managers out there, like they always want you to send them the offer because they want that advantage, that power. If you're always sending them the offer and they get to sit back and do whatever they want with it and just hit a button and boom, it's done. So it's like, if I see a manager doing that, like I'm going to let them know that in some way, shape, or form, either through my actions or through sending them a message that like, hey, like this has got to be a two-way street. You don't just always get to receive the offers and be able to say yes or no on them. Like if you don't like it, send me a counter. Don't just say, oh no, that doesn't work for me. Send me something better. Like, no, I'm not going to just send you offer after offer and you hold all the power. Yeah. And so if they're not going to want to play fair and, make it a two-way street, I'll go and I'll negotiate with someone else because like I don't like to do business that way.
Yeah.
If you're coming in with an egregious offer, I can understand that.
Sure.
Because some people don't want to come in very low. So if you come in really high, then what's the appropriate technique to come counter really low? Right?
I mean,
if you come in really high asking for a lot,
I see.
Then I have to come back really low asking for, so we can meet into a reasonable place. So some people don't like doing that. They want to only come in where they feel comfortable at, or maybe a little bit. And then then they feel that they're going to be coerced to come up from where they want to come. And so coming in high can be really can turn people off, I
Yeah.
Oh,
find.
sure.
Yeah.
And make you not want to even deal with them.
Yeah, I don't like to do
So
that. I don't like to play too many.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
you do.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely. I like to send something that's reasonable. I usually leave, a little like negotiating room. I mean, there are times where I send my best offer up front, but usually I leave a little room. I'm pretty flexible. I mean, I don't have to win like every trade, but I like it to be fair. But yeah, I don't like to turn off the other manager by sending some ridiculous thing. Like they're not going to want to negotiate with me after that, so it's counterproductive in my mind.
Yeah, this is probably like the most interesting.
Yeah. You want to hear
what was
this
I
one? You talked. What'd you say?
Oh, sorry, I'm cutting out here. What I was gonna add to what you guys were saying there about the
go ahead.
thing is what's interesting is psychologically speaking, coming at them with the Dan and I have talked before, the door in the face technique is like that's actually the best way to get technically that's the best way to get the best deal. You should technically throw a piece of junk at them. Whatever. Ask 6 first for Jefferson, and then come down and be like, all right, I only want 3 first and Shakir or something, right? Because now it's like, holy crap, you're asking for less. Like it looks much more reasonable, which is true psychologically. But the issue is like if you start doing that all the time, like I really don't like to do that. I try never to do that at the same time because the issue is then you just turn them off completely. And I know people that do that. But the issue is they actually don't come down is the funny part. Like they're just doing that. And then I'll never send them an offer ever again after that, So I'd love to get like a survey off people. Like it's like, will that turn you off? Like what would you rather prefer? Because the issue is I almost feel like at times I'll give like too good of first offers because I never want to like insult someone with my first offer. I always want it to be acceptable or on like the fringe of acceptable where they make that one little thing, that one little switch to the trade.
Yeah. Well,
obviously you would like to get more if you can, and so but you'll accept a little bit less.
But if you want to get a deal done,
the thing is, like, I just love when trade negotiations just have a complete lack of BS. So, like, for example, we just had JoeyBradley on the other day. I had a lot of fun chatting with him on the stream, and I've only known him for like a few weeks, but like I've gotten like more deals done with this guy